Hello, welcome Solex Nation. You know, we have a great asset that you may not know about. It's called our DMK, or a Digital Marketing Kit.
Yeah, this is at sharesolex.com. This is a website where you can go and you can find a bunch of assets about a bunch of different things regarding AO scan technology, whether it's different products, products you consume, red light products. Everything is on there and is a downloadable file or video that you can share with other people. The cool thing about it, that one of the things I love about it, is that you can actually make it yours.
You can, yes.
Like you can take that file, put your information on the bottom if you were going to print it off and share it with people, and it's yours.
Or if you want to email it to somebody, or if you want to use it on your social media, there are a lot of different things that ways you can use the DMK. So go check that out if you haven't already. One of the newest things that we just came out with was a new playlist. If you have noticed it on your version 2 of AO Scan, we have a new playlist, and on the DMK is a little card that you can download or you can share on your social media with a little QR code that leads to that new playlist.
Yeah, you know what? If you really want to hit it big, if you place an order, there's a handful of these that are going out with new orders,
That's
right?
True.
Sharing the playlist with other people. Mm-hmm. It's a great playlist around mood support, emotional strengthening, those sort of things. We all deal with the daily challenges, that different kinds of experiences that can, affect us, maybe not in the most positive way. Mm-hmm. And playlists are one of those things that really can help turn the corner and help us see things anew. And this is a great playlist for that.
That's right. Also on the DMK, you will see a lot about our new AO mask.
Oh, the brand new AO mask is a hit. Mm-hmm. You guys love it. We love it. In so many different ways, it is effective and beneficial to so many people. Obviously, you're sharing it with a lot of people. One of the things on the DMK that really drew me to it, at least the AO mask information that our creative team has done such a great job putting assets up for, was showing the green light or the blue light. I always see the face masks online with the red light.
Oh yeah.
But the green light was like, it drew me to it. I saw it and I'm like, whoa, that's cool. That's different.
Yeah.
Blue light did the same thing. The AO mask obviously is a big hit. We want you to continue sharing it. We think it's superior in every way in the marketplace, and just reaches beyond what is being offered, both for price as well as function and flexibility. Now the AO mask, you guys, like I said, surprised us with your excitement.
Shocked us.
We have lifted and moved heaven and earth to try and get more here. We have more here. They are shipping regularly right now.
That's right.
And so we'll continue to ship regularly until we can't.
That's right. And another question that has come up about the mask is it just the mask? Is the neck piece separate? Do I have to order the neck piece separate? No, they come together. So when you order AO mask, it's AO mask plus the neck piece. And you can wear them separately, but they are shipped together.
Yeah, and in the controller that runs the function of the mask, you have 2 ports with the USB-C. So you could plug one in and it works. You plug the other one in, it works. You plug them in at both at the same time, they work. So yeah, they come together. Right.
Something else that we've been asked lately a lot is, why can't you put a dropper in blue? Solex, we don't like the spray. Why isn't it a dropper? Were you going to talk about that?
Yeah, when we were blue, we love methylene blue. We think it is a phenomenal product. The market loves it. It's getting popular and more and more popular over time. We started, actually, when we were first doing our trials and tests, we had it in a dropper. And we had so many challenges with people. It's very sensitive.
It was a disaster, is what he's trying to say.
Yes, it was an absolute disaster. People were spilling it all over their clothes when they were trying to make the transfer. They were doing this sort of thing, trying to get the dropper right next to their mouth.
We may have ruined a few desks.
Yeah, and walls and other things, right?
Yeah.
We made the decision to try and get to the spray bottle. No decision is going to be perfect. And with blue in particular, because it is such a very thin, it's got a high viscosity, very thin liquid, it can leak through just about anything. And because it is so thin, we had a hard time keeping it in the dropper.
Yes.
Right? Even if you took it out, it started to drip down. Now, that's not to say that that's not a good solution or a solution for many of you. It's just we had switched to the squirt because we thought, oh, you can get the squirt to your mouth and then press it and get it into your mouth. Now, both the squirt function and the dropper function would work well when you're putting it into a glass, right? I mean, I do it every morning. I put the squirter right in, squirt it to the glass, and it goes right into my glass jar, and I mix it up with everything else and drink it. But I could understand how a dropper would be efficacious too, as far as right next to the cup, dropping it in. Right now we have the squirt option. We are always trying to listen to see if we switch to a dropper, will that then cause a bunch of other problems?
I'm going to say yes, because nothing is going to be perfect. But we just wanted to let you know that we are listening, we hear you, we understand that some of you would like a dropper, and we're exploring options.
Yeah, we'll continue to do it, always.
That's right.
Test the status quo.
All right, I love this part of the month because we get to talk about ranks. And so it is May, so we're going to announce now our April rank advancements. Love to see those rank advancements. That's a lot of hard work to get your name on that page.
Yeah, I know I say this every month, but it is, and I will repeat it every month, that those people that you just saw, all of those names at each of those ranks, they had to consistently provide and produce the sharing that they're doing about Solex. They had to do it in such a way that they did it for 3 months. And in 3 months, they finally break the rank. And then they get benefits for breaking the rank. But I appreciate everybody on each of those lists who just consistently work. Now, in particular, as you saw, the platinums, that is no easy feat.
Yep.
None of that is easy.
Right.
But platinums, I think I would definitely spotlight. Phoenix Rising has been with us for years, and she is a powerhouse. And people are just drawn to her. They just want to know, what does she have to say? And she says great things about Solex. We love Phoenix for that.
Yes, and she is a new platinum, and so is Christy Huerman. Congratulations to both of you. You worked so hard to get here. Both of these ladies will be coming to our leadership event in just a few weeks, so we're excited to get to know them a little bit better. But congratulations to everybody who rank advanced last month. All right, let's talk about our top enrollers from last week.
For the week of May 5th through 11th.
Yeah, we have a tie for second.
We do have a tie for second, right?
Yep, the first tie for second place is Enrique Gomez Ascenso. I hope I said that right.
Yeah, you did a great job.
I'll meet you in a couple weeks at Dave Discovery in Amsterdam, Enrique. I'll talk to you about it.
And Karina Sesson, great job. You tied with Ulrike.
Yes.
And just hard work, consistent work. Now, we do have a bit of a surprise in first place. Somebody's been dethroned by a prior throne holder.
That's right.
Right? We have Simmons Holistics, right?
Yes, Simmons Holistics, you are #1 this week. Congratulations. We are going to send you a 6-pack of AOScan sample passes.
Yeah, get sharing, right?
That's right. She already is.
Yeah.
She always is.
She always is.
Yeah.
All the time.
Congratulations, everyone.
And we had a contest.
We did have a contest. I loved this one because so much positivity is flowing with this contest. You can just go back and read and just see the happiness here. But
I did too, like over the weekend. I just found myself, I was sitting there and I went to our YouTube channel because I just wanted to see what the responses were.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here and I'm reading and liking people's responses and I'm like, I'm feeling great. None of these things to brighten their day happened to me.
Yeah.
But I felt great about it.
Just reading it.
Yeah, just
That's
reading
awesome.
about it. So we asked them to share with us something that brightened.
How has somebody recently brightened your life? So we're going to give you, guess what we're giving?
Oh, Bright. Our phenomenal serum. All right, this is Leap.
We'll put it up. Just call us. Tell us who you are.
Yeah, tell us who you are. My day was brightened when I already knew my eldest and youngest daughter were coming over for the weekend to visit, but the oldest also brought a huge catered dinner and had invited another granddaughter and her 2 sons. So it was awesome having so many together. While they were here, several were suffering from sinus type issues and commented that I never have a runny nose, etc., which is not entirely true. I just don't suffer with it for long. I laughed and said probably because of the scanner. So I ran seasonal allergy for them and they were all feeling better before the afternoon. That was a huge step for a couple of them. Woohoo. That is awesome. I love like grandkids just randomly coming over, setting up a date with grandma.
That's fun.
That's
you know what?
awesome.
That combined two of our questions. I think last week we were, how are you a product of the product? So
right
they
there.
brightened your day by coming over, and you're a product of the product by not having a runny nose.
Yeah, very good. At least not for very long.
For very long. All right, next one. Kathy Berger. I have a sister-in-law visiting this week from Mexico, and I introduced her to AO Scan to help with her knee pain. Within 3 hours, she was so relaxed and could walk on her knee without any pain. She has told everyone she talks to how perfect I was at everything. Bless. So I guess we have brightened each other's week.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is awesome. It all has
That's
to do with
the
people
best.
visiting. Have you noticed?
Well, and you know what else is? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And you know what else? Like, it's interesting. The people doing the service, doing the kindness, helping, often feel just as good, or if
true.
not better, than the person who received it.
That is true.
It's so true. All right.
Sabrina
Oh,
Gonder.
this is Sabrina. Sabrina, I think she wins like 6 or 7 times. at
Because
least a
she
year.
enters. If you enter, you'll win.
Yeah, that's awesome, Sabrina. I had to run home to grab something for work, and my husband stood in the window, jumping up and down with excitement to see me. We've been married for 36 years on May 28th.
Oh.
That's awesome.
Okay, I expect you to jump up and down with excitement when you see me. You don't do that. That's awesome. Congratulations to the 3 of you. Thanks for sending those in. We will get all 3 of you bright. You know what? We talk a lot about how to introduce AO Scan to others. It's kind of been a conundrum for us for the last 4 plus years of how do we say it in a way that others will understand. So we're gonna go deep into that today, and we're gonna start off with how one person likes to describe AO Scan.
We are all literally beings of light. Light connects, it travels, and communicates throughout the universe, using waves measured on the electromagnetic spectrum. All sources of light come from natural origins, including soil, the sun, lightning, galaxies, the universe, and human innovations which harness natural light, including radio, satellite, cell phones, Wi-Fi, radar, and sonar. The frequency or rate of the wavelength determines how often it vibrates or moves, and how powerful it is. The most powerful sources of light have a higher frequency with shorter wavelengths. For example, mechanical seismic waves happen when tectonic plates shift beneath the Earth's surface, creating earthquakes of varying sizes. On the other end of the spectrum, gentle sources of light have a low frequency with longer wavelengths, which are used for various connections and communication, like MRI machines, satellites, and cell phones. When looking up into the vastness of the universe on a clear night, in between the stars and galaxies, all we can see with our physical eyes is dark matter. What we now know is that dark matter is actually invisible light. My hope is that in a more glorious time in the near future, there will be a day when we can see all light throughout the universe. We know that the universe and each of us are connected by light, both visible and invisible. All of us have unique light inside of our bodies, literally a fingerprint of light and energy. Albert Einstein said, "A student is not a container you have to fill, but a torch you have to light up." When the light within us is bright and harmonious, our body is healthy and happy. When the light within us is filled with chaos and confusion and clutter, our body is unhealthy and unhappy. Our daily lifestyle choices can have a big impact on the brightness of our light. AO Scan simply has been developed to help remove the chaos and clutter that is blocking organized and harmonious light with a simple scan. AO Scan first assesses the chaos and the clutter, and then secondly, harmoniously optimizes the light within us. Daily assessing and optimizing enable each of us to be our very best self. AO Scan is quite simply a better way to manage your daily health care.
Recently, we were overseas on a trip with a pretty good sized group, And, we had some downtime. And so people started asking me, what do you do? What is it that you do?
Yeah.
And so it always leads
It's always
to
the
that.
fun question,
Yeah.
right?
And so I said, I work for a health and wellness company. And they said, well, which company? And I said, Solex. And they said, well, what do you sell? So I just tried to do the top level, supplements and red light therapy, PEMF mats, things like that. And they said, okay, what's the it product? What's your flagship product? And I felt myself do this inward sigh. We've all been there, right? Where you're about to open up a big old conversation.
Yeah. Like you've said this before to me, you're not going to get through this conversation in one sentence or two sentences. You're not going to like mic drop this and they're going to be like, oh, amazing. Let me have it.
Exactly. So I knew what I was getting into. And so I said, well, our flagship product is the AO scan technology. So then they asked me, well, what's AO scan? So here it comes, right? I'm like, what do I say? And I said, well, AO scan technology is a tool that helps you make better health decisions for your body. So of course they wanted to know, give me an example. So I pulled out my scanner and we went down the row and I was scanning everyone. And I did vitals actually is what they were most interested in. I did a vital scan on people and it led to amazing conversations about AO scan. But we want to talk about today how that inward sigh of like, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, and particularly to that group, right? That group was kind of a high roller group, a very traditional group as well, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to say older, but they were, I mean, we had medical doctors and lawyers and
some were retired.
Yeah. And not that everything has to be tangible with this crowd, but it certainly was the traditional approach where, okay, if I see it, I believe it, but okay, we're talking about energy, and they needed to get in. They were interested and intrigued. And the great thing about the conversation, I think, that you were having with them was that they were willing to stay in the conversation too.
They weren't just willing to stay in that conversation. It was what we talked about for the next week is all they wanted to talk about with me, to the point where I got to the point where I said, okay, you guys, let's set aside some time at the hotel and let's have a group talk, because it was conversation here. Anyway, great conversation to have, but we know the position that you're in where you want to explain AO scan to others and you aren't quite sure what to say, or sometimes you feel okay, here we go.
How do we get into
How are we going to
this?
do it? So that's what we want to talk about today.
Yeah, so when you think about that, and you probably had this in that recent experience that you're talking about right now, and in other experiences, one of the most helpful things I think that you've taught everyone here, and you did it in the most recent Day of Discovery, the virtual Day of Discovery, was talking it in relatable ways, right? In ways that the everyday person might say, okay, I can start to grasp that. I can start to maybe understand what we're talking about. Not everybody talks energy, right?
Not everyone talks energy, frequency, all those words that we use, they're becoming more mainstream now. But even, when we started, I started at Solex in January of 2021. And to me, those words were very strange. And I don't even know that I believed it. But I also was back in the, I remember my sister-in-law when we had really young kids, and I was giving my kids Tylenol because their teeth were coming in. And she's like, no, you should do the homeopathic stuff. And I was like, okay, homeopathic stuff, you weirdo. Now I'm like, I should have done the homeopathic stuff. I understand things differently now. But I, as a person who was in that space before of not understanding, coming into someone who now understands, I can kind of see the path for those people that were like me.
I think that if you were trying to establish your initial footing with someone, when you're talking about AO scan technology, one thing you're not going to get away from is energy, right? Is frequency. And really the truth is, most people, educated or not, if they've been through elementary school, they probably understand that energy really is everywhere. Mm-hmm. When you're talking about the body, you're talking about cells and even atoms vibrating in a certain way, and that vibration is energy. And because it vibrates in a pattern, it's a frequency. A lot of people, at least for me, when I say, okay, I'm going to talk to you about how the AO scan technology helps you learn about energy patterns in the body, about the frequency output of the body. And if they get stuck on that, I usually try and nail that. But the thing that is important is that we all understand that energy is throughout our bodies.
That's right.
Right? And if we can understand that every cell has energy output, well, what is the pattern of that energy output? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it right? Is it wrong? Does it matter? And the great thing about AO scan technology is that it is an education tool teaching you the language of energy.
That's right.
Right?
I like that you said that. It's a language that we may not know.
Yeah.
Right? So it's the communicator for us.
Yeah. Like if I was in one of the parallels sometimes I'll bring up is, listen, if I wanted to go learn French, I would go to a linguist that knows French and could teach me, a person who speaks English, how to say what I want to say in French, knowing that I know English right now, right? A lot of us and a lot of people don't necessarily know the language of energy, but one of the great assists that the AO scan technology is that it's a linguist for energy. It's an educator for energy. And if you want to learn the language of your body's energy, that's where you can go to have an assist, just like you'd hire a teacher.
Yeah.
You're hiring AO scan technology to learn about the body.
That's right. And what's the benefit of learning more about your energy?
Well, I think that's great. Well, if I don't feel so great, or if I know I have some ailments or some struggles, if I can learn parallels of energy with those pain points, I can start to learn about the energy levels of those bodies and make some decisions about those points. If I can make some decisions about those points, it's not that the AO scan technology is telling me what to do.
No.
Because it's just educating me on energy. But then I can say, oh, I have a real challenge in my lower back pain, and it's reflected in the energy as well as what I feel. What are some decisions that I can also research to try and do something about that lower back pain?
And don't you think that energy kind of sees things first? Like maybe this is a tool that can show you that, oh, the energy's a little bit off here. Like it's highlighted here, like maybe your elbow. So maybe I'll take a break from lifting weights. I don't feel anything, but maybe I'll take a break from lifting weights for a little bit to kind of whatever's brewing to let that stop.
Yeah, I think that's great. One of the wonderful things about AO scan technology and talking and getting into an energy conversation and using parallels that are relatable to get in to those conversations is understanding where is the core value of AO scan technology. And it sits in our blueprint or our database of what are balanced frequencies for areas of the body.
That's right.
It's comparing the energy of your body to those data points and seeing whether it's out of range or not.
Yeah.
That information is so powerful and it's so useful when you start to find patterns. But going back to, okay, if I can get to that point, I'm usually getting to the point where I'm accepting a scan, right? Like these people did with you.
Yes. They didn't just accept it, they begged for it.
But if somebody was struggling, saying, okay, I don't understand how this works, like what is a go-to for you to talk about, okay, let me give you a real world parallel about how this works.
Well, I think for frequencies in general, one thing that I know I didn't understand, and a lot of people may not understand, is that they're all around us. There are frequencies flying through this room right now that my body isn't tuned into, so I can't see them, feel them, hear them. But let's say, do you know how many radio signals are coming through right now?
Yeah,
and if
tons.
I had a radio here and we had one, my parents had one in our living room, and well, you'd have to turn the dial to dial into the right station. If I did that, I would hit on different frequencies, and the more I tuned them, the clearer they would become. Those are all around us.
Yeah, I love that analogy. I've used that so many times to help people understand energy is kind of ever present, right? It's always flowing and it's always in motion. And the one thing that we also, if we want to learn about energy, is that it moves in a pattern. Now, it's a pattern of probability, meaning it's not exactly predictable. But in that probability, it moves in wavelengths. What are wavelengths of energy? Wavelengths of energy are frequencies, right? It hits a bound, and the cool thing about energy is it can absorb and it can release. And in that absorbing and releasing means it can change, means it can be suggested to change. And that's actually really cool if, as you use the real world example that you talked about radio waves, right? These sound waves are in this room right now. You can't hear them, we can't hear them. But if we had a receiver to tune into or alter things in our life to adjust to the right frequency of energy,
We would hear beautiful music.
we could hear beautiful music.
Yeah.
And thus AOScan technology in educating us and informing us about the energy state of our body, we then get to make changes to the dial of how we live our daily lives.
That's right.
To then receive beautiful music or beautiful health, right? Because we're choosing healthy things.
That's right.
To help that energy come into a state that's happy, right? It's not that the AOScan necessarily is forcing us into anything.
Of course not.
It's just giving us information. One of the things I love also about looking at AOScan technology in real tangible ways is when I go to the grocery store and I put a jar of something to check out, every time they run the jar, a part of the jar over this glass thing
With a light, a red light.
that has a light in it.
Yep.
And then a beep, I hear a beep, and then the price goes up.
Yeah.
That's all energy.
Yes.
It's reading information and giving an output of information based on the reading. It's not changing or altering.
It didn't change or alter what's in that jar.
In that jar.
It just read what's in it.
Now I know what to do with that
Exactly.
jar, right? After I obviously know what to pay for that jar.
Yeah.
And so the AOScan technology is also like a reader of information and comparing it against that database or that blueprint of what we have, which is I think our secret sauce, our proprietary blend, right?
Yes, it is.
Of information, and it's decades old. You know, what's another way that we would talk about? I mean, I know that we've talked about a few different things.
You know what? When we were in Antarctica, well, we weren't in Antarctica. We took a cruise that went up to the shore of Antarctica. We
Yeah.
never actually walked on the shore. And we had cell phone signals and we had internet. There are no towers on Antarctica.
Yeah.
How do we do that?
It's fascinating when you think about the complexity of they were using Starlink,
Starlink.
right?
Which 5 years ago, Starlink would have been.
Yeah,
What?
I mean, a group of satellites roaming all around the globe, but able and thousands, if not tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of resources searching for, finding, and receiving information in milliseconds.
Yes.
What at its core is energy. I also am fascinated. Alice Drahian has talked about this. She was our resident rocket scientist.
Literally worked for NASA. She's a rocket scientist.
And worked on some of the Mars deployments as far
Yeah.
as putting the robots on Mars, and how information could be sent and received from that bot on Mars
to the rover.
and back around things that are all in motion in between here and there.
Yes.
So many things to block the way, so many things to get in the way, so many things to navigate along the way. Yet we could round information, energy, through and around so many different things in order to reach that specific, pinpoint of a thing millions of miles away and back and be accurate.
That's right.
Energy doesn't necessarily have boundaries.
Right.
Information about energy and frequency helps us understand how to use this boundless force to our benefit. And so AOScan technology, again, using that example, is looking at energy. It's and then suggesting, right, to the body ways to alter the energy,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so we suggest, we receive suggestions, and then we act on those suggestions to alter our day-to-day. Now, can I give one final thing?
Let's do it.
It is just the power of actually doing an activity in the AOScan technology. All of these people were enthusiastic, coming from a traditional view. Your conversation was based on the relationship you developed in just a matter of really hours, right? Hours of time spent together. And in that, they wanted scans. And in that scans, they found personal information that was valuable to them, that they wanted to act on. I think of probably one of the most powerful things that I experienced outside of being personal was with somebody else. And it was with a daughter of mine who was a typical teenage daughter, very grumpy, very frustrated, very,
Which child is this?
well,
I know which one.
they all went through their stages, and one evening she was sitting there in her typical teenage state of phone and grumpiness, right? And we were trying to engage with her and have a conversation with her and just want to know, how's the day going, sort of thing.
You can't even ask her what she'd like for dinner. She's not having it.
And there was a huff and a puff with everything, right? It was just like, get out of here. Yet we were kind of, force is too strong of a word, forcing her to sit with us in the family room, right?
Yeah.
And this was her very first inner voice scan. I put my phone up to her and I said, okay, I just want you to say your name. Say I am and say your name, and then
just talk.
Tell the cell phone that you hate that your dad's making you do this, right? And so she went through that. She just kind of vocalized, and it was with a very muttered, begrudging output.
With some rolled eyes.
And then the next thing I said is, I paid for that cell phone service, and so I'm taking your cell phone away from you for the next few minutes while you listen to the output. Yeah. And that's all I did. I didn't tell her what it was for, why we're doing this. I said, listen, just do me a favor. You did this, do this other part, and let's just, then you've appeased me and you can go back to your cell phone. Well, what happened? We were sitting there, we were watching TV. She was going through what is the balancing harmonics of inner voice. And she was calming down. You could noticeably see her face change, and then she was done. She didn't immediately pick up her phone and ground herself back into social media. She actually started cracking jokes with us and teasing us and having a conversation with us. And I'm like, so.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, did you see that? And then she was like, yeah, oh my gosh. We didn't point it out to her. We didn't even do anything to convince her that her state had changed, because I'm convinced that if we did that, she would go right back, force her way back into the state she was in. Sure. But the power of energy and frequency was evident in the scan itself.
Yes.
Information was received in energy from the voice. Information was given back by sounds, right? Through the balancing harmonics. What her body did with all of that information, she didn't read her report. She didn't need to. What her body did with all of that information was bring her closer to a state of peace.
Yes.
And then acceptance of what else was going on around her.
And that's what we want in life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bring us to a state of peace.
In the end, how you practice talking about AO scan technology and how you make it relatable to the person. Sometimes it might just be, hey, just do the scan, right? Like our daughter. Most of the time, people are inquisitive. But most of the time, if you talk about your experience and if you talk about relatable, tangible things, whether it's the light going on in your dash in a car, or the reader of a barcode scanner at the grocery store, or the radio being tuned in, or the Mars rover, right?
Yes.
Real things that people have heard about, know about, or have actually experienced, those help it become more relatable. When it becomes more relatable, they're interested in potentially having an experience with AO scan technology. When they have an experience with AO scan technology, then that's the best you can do, because everything else is on them.
There. That's
everything
exactly
else is on them, right? So thanks for letting me share that last little thought. I thought that might be helpful in at least an experience that people have. So like you said, what do you want people to do with this information?
I think I would say that don't be afraid to go and share AO scan. Just remember that AO scan technology is just a tool to help you make better health decisions with the energy of your body. And go ahead and share that with everybody and have them do a scan for themselves.
The truth is, there is no one perfect way to talk about AO scan technology. And I think the real lesson learned, at least for me and us having this discussion and listening to Jake and listening to so many other people, is that it's worth exploring how I would like to and thinking about it before I'm in the situation. And I think that allows, and then having the courage just to talk about it.
That's so
you know,
true.
I might not do it right the first time, I might not do it right the last time, but eventually it will get comfortable for me to talk about it. I think that's the real win right here. So what are we gonna do?
Well, we gave some examples today of how to introduce AO Scan in new ways, but we know we didn't even scratch the surface. So we want to hear from you. How do you explain AO Scan?
And then what are we gonna give away?
Let's give away 3 winners next week, 6-pack of AO Scan sample passes. So when you are introducing AO Scan to others, you have some ammo behind you. You can give them a free sample of AO Scan and let them try it for themselves.
I love that. Everybody have a great week.
Recently we were on a trip we were overseas, and let me start over.
Okay. Blooper.